How I came to know Mr. Mkhwanazi is that, as reflected on my statement, that on the 30th of September, I received a WhatsApp message, and this WhatsApp message came from a person who described himself as he sent me the message on the 3rd of September, where he indicated...
Sorry, General, can I interrupt you?
Yes, sir.
Just remember that the proceedings are transcribed. So when you say 30 September, give the year also.
The year, okay.
Was it 2023 or 2024?
Yeah, no, thanks, Commissioner. My apologies for that. This was on the 30th of September, 2024, when Mr. Mkhwanazi sent me a WhatsApp regarding an allegation of defeating the ends of justice matter, which were widely publicized in the media, arising from an incident that had occurred in a correctional facility in Richards Bay, in Etimpangeni, I beg your pardon, in KZN. However, when he communicated with me, there was no media coverage yet. So he was the first one to initiate this, which later there was a media coverage. So hence I say, Commissioners, that this meant one of the two things, that either Mkhwanazi was part of the meeting or a senior person, either from the police or from the ministry that was in that meeting, shared this meeting with this Mkhwanazi. And that was a concern for me, because a person who's not a police officer, even worse, a person who's not working at crime intelligence, will sit in such a meeting and be able to take copies of presentations. And, or alternatively, someone from... No, you are safe, Commissioners.
Apologies, Chair.
At the time, my understanding is that he is telling me that what was discussed in the meeting, which he sent me a screenshot on, the one that talks about crime intelligence policies, they were discussing me, about me not wanting to cooperate and working well with the head of crime intelligence in KZN. So that was my conclusion, that he was saying that I don't want to cooperate with them on information that they are giving me. I don't want to operationalize such an information. And that's why he even knows that the head of crime intelligence in KZN is going on retirement. So this is a person who knows everything about the police, even knows when is a person retiring.
Thank you. You may continue.
Yeah. So and then the following message on the next page, 319, I then asked him that, please get me that presentation if there is one to confirm, or otherwise if there is any recordings. Because I wanted to get a proof that what was this presentation about that he has access to that I don't know. The response from him, what made me start connecting the dots. Remember we spoke about investigation and pictures starting to emerge. His response was nothing. General Khan will brief you next week. Now, Commissioner, I want to put on the record that I only know one General Khan within crime intelligence. He's a Major General Khan that was on the news not long ago. Some of the colleagues will know about the attendance of the EFF celebration last year, as well as the case that was alleged that Khan was involved in stopping the police when they were busy with the drug operation at Eratin in Johannesburg. When he sent me this, I then concluded that means General Khan is in that meeting. It is General Khan most likely that is feeding him with the information. That was my conclusion. Why would he choose General Khan to brief me if I ask for a presentation? But again, I don't have proof of it. It is him that is writing this message. But I guess with the investigation, we're going to see linkages about all these people within the police. And my response was, sure. And then he sent another one to say back in Joburg, and after that followed by phone calls, and there's many other communication that followed thereafter. Commissioners, I'm going to reflect to what happened in 2011. later on my statements. Crime intelligence, modus operandi back then, and players that were involved back then with the looting on the money and irregularities, they still exist at crime intelligence today, and some of them are occupying high position. So there has no reforms that has been implemented at crime intelligence. That's why it's no surprise when you start seeing things coming out. Like I said on record, I did not say that General Khan has leaked any information. It is Mkhwanazi that introduces Khan. I only know of one Khan at crime intelligence. So perhaps as we investigate further, we'll be able to see whether there's any leakages between these people. That information that is supposed to be within the confines of those four walls where the meeting was taking place ended up with Mkhwanazi. The system of protecting the drug squad, media plays part. Let me rephrase. Journalists within media houses, they are part of this in pushing certain narrative. Why I say this is because a very well-known veteran, leakages of Africa, had contacted me almost immediately after this incident happened of Mbangeni. It happened beginning of the year last year. I think a month or so, he contacted me. He can come here and confirm that. He called me, contacted me, said, Gerald, I'm hearing that you interfered with the police operation. And what is going on? So I explained to him the details of what transpired. He understood. Then he said, okay, well, there's some stories and there's nothing wrong. So he did not publish that. Later in the year, which I suppose maybe this why Mkhwanazi is coming to me with this, is that first General Cele calls me, he's a former minister, he calls me and he says the Premier of Gauteng have approached him to go and work in Gauteng to help him fight crime in Gauteng. Therefore, he needs General Khumalo, who is a district commissioner and ex-task force commander in KZN, to come and work with him in Gauteng. And I find it strange because I think he called 2 or 3 times. While I was in a meeting, I kept giving the phone to one Brigadier Abteles who was with me in the meeting. And after that, I had a conversation with General Cele, and then he pleaded with me to release this general to come to Gauteng. And my surprise was, but when General Cele was in the police, he did not like the general, Khumalo. He didn't like him at all. So why now that he's out of the police, he trusted Khumalo to come and work with him in Gauteng? He went to my colleague, General. So I turned to her and said, but I received a strange call here. General Cele is asking me to approach Khumalo, who's a district commissioner of Zululand, to come and work with him in Gauteng, meaning he must resign from the police and go and work in Gauteng with him for 5 years, then he will come back into the police, which was very odd. And General Khua was also confused. He said, but as far as I know, Cele didn't like Khumalo. And he made all of us at the head office to believe that Khumalo is a bad person. Why will he now suddenly want Khumalo to work with him? So it was just a strange call. I then contacted General Khumalo. He's a Major General. I phoned General Khumalo and said, General Khumalo, this is a request I received from General Cele. And he made at the head office to be, the general is not serious about that. So I asked him, what do you mean? He said, no, he's not serious. He wants me to back off on the case against Khan, General Khan from Crime Intelligence. So Cele is pursuing Khumalo to resign from the police so that he can stay away from the dismissal case because he was appointed to deal with that case against, departmentally, against General Khan. So Khumalo says, no, this is the approach of Cele to want me to back off. And that got me so upset, commissioners, that can really General Cele go to the extent of wanting a person to resign from the service because he wants to protect someone? It was very strange. I did not talk to General Cele from the day. I did not talk to him. I was very upset. It disappointed me as a person who's a former minister in the police. I was just upset. The further communication that happened on the 2nd and on the 3rd of July 2025. And I must indicate, commissioners, that throughout all this conversation I'm having with Mr. Brian Mkhwanazi, he had not set in his phone the self-destruction message. It was not set. So I was screenshotting all this conversation, but he kept on, this message were always on a WhatsApp chat. Until the 2nd of July, this disappearing message was activated on his side. But I had already screen grabbed the communication also. The 2nd and the 3rd of July that I have. The message that came in on the 2nd of July reads, "General, you need to intervene." And that followed by a missed voice call from his side. And then I called him back. So we had a conversation. It is not here on record, but the conversation was about the arrest of members of crime intelligence that had happened in June, towards the end of June. I do not know what was of an interest to him, because his communication was that we cannot be chasing J50s against each other. So J50 is a warrant of arrest, and that was his words, that we can't be chasing J50s against each other. This one's arresting this one and that one. I must indicate, Commissioner, that after the arrest, I had communicated with someone, a police officer that is in contact with some of the senior people that are implicated in this drug cartel. This police officer, I had communicated with the police officer, and I had sent some messages and we communicated back and forth. I suppose maybe that message landed with Mkhwanazi. That's why he felt it's important for him to come to me and say, I must intervene. And he says, basically there must not be any fight back against each other, that we are now arresting each other and we're going to end up in court. And the last missed call that he made was on the 3rd of July. It was a Thursday. So he tried to call me in the afternoon at 14:34.
Apologies, General. The year, please. Please indicate the year for the record.
I'm talking about July this year. Everything is 2025.
Thank you.
So the last call that he tried to reach out to me was on the 3rd of July. I did not answer his call. So that's where the conversation between me ended, Commissioners. So, Commissioners, my conclusion on this matter, how Bran Mkhwanazi is engaging on police matters, and yet is not a police officer, it made me conclude that this person, without being a police officer, has an access not just to police officers, but to the classified information of the police. Then here is in position of a crime intelligence presentation. Someone that was in that room will have to explain how does Bran Mkhwanazi get hold of such. And the Bran Mkhwanazi, knowing even the diary of the minister, for him to say the minister is Lesigisigi, when I asked the chief of staff, he confirms that the minister is Lesigisigi. It's a public knowledge that the minister is Lesigisigi. So this is a man that knows every move of the minister. But despite all this public knowledge, the minister still denied knowing this person in Parliament. I find it strange, but it is not my place to decide what must happen thereafter. What was of a concern with the communication that is happening, Commissioners, between Bran Mkhwanazi and Nhlanhla. One conversation that is there, it's about the disbandment of the political killings task team. And this communication happened on the 31st of December 2024. And his message, one of the messages that he sends, Bran Mkhwanazi sends to Nhlanhla, I'm going to quote as extracted from the WhatsApp, that today is the day and Nhlanhla should just stand back. So this is what Mkhwanazi is telling Nhlanhla, that today is the day, just stand back. And we know that the minister's letter was signed on the 31st of December. And Bran Mkhwanazi is talking about the disbandment of the team on the same day to Nhlanhla. So which means he knows that it's going to happen on the very same day. So I must indicate, as I conclude on this one, that at the time, neither myself, the National Commissioner, or the project manager, Jaro Khumalo, knew about this decision to close. So it is something that the team picked it up when they are continuing the investigation. Had we not arrested this cat Nhlanhla and have access to that phone, we probably might not have known about this. So this is just to display the level of connectivity that Mkhwanazi has in the police. Well, he said it in public that, which is on the record on TV, that he was with a part of the operation to bring Thabo Bester into the country. He said that. And I know that Jaro Khan was in that operation too. So it's something on the side that will need to be checked that I don't want to delve into. The special task force were in that operation too, that flew over to that country, although they didn't get off the plane. They picked up these people and they came back. So how that operation was done, how was it coordinated, but it was not authorized by Jaro Khumalo as the Divisional Commission of Crime Intelligence, for sure. So I'm not going to delve into that, but Mkhwanazi maybe is invited here. He will have to explain this involvement that he has, because he's not registered as a source in the police, but he has access to everything in the police. Commissioner, yes, this communication is not necessarily with the minister, but if you read the last message on 333,
Yes.
which is dated the 30th of March 2025 at 10:59 in the morning,
Yes.
where Jaro Gopal, with the name Anthony, where he typed that minister, local branch may raise concern on candidate as from the charter I picked up, or the church I picked up. Let me explain to the Commission what this communication is about. This communication is not about the case of a councillor. And it's a culture of the experience we have as a police that when the executive authority is engaging on a political project, there's always blur lines about focusing on political issues, but you want to bring the portfolio of being the executive authority and you invite the police to be part of this political program. What had happened here, there was going to be by-elections. A person who was a councillor had resigned from the position. And there was that person, for whatever reason they were having in that political party, he resigned and he joined another political party. So he was campaigning for another political party. So the minister then came into the area as a deployee of his party to assist the campaigning of another candidate to be elected. So part of his, when he arrived, he requested, actually he didn't even communicate with myself nor Jaro Khumalo, he communicated with the station commander. He said to the station commander he wants to meet the station management at the police station because he wants to ask them about a case. The case allegedly that involves the councillor that had resigned from this side and moved over campaigning for another political party. So the minister was entrusted to know what is happening with that case because this man has got a case. So, which means they wanted to make sure that he's arrested so he doesn't stand for the other party. So the minister called the station management. The station management communicated to Jaro Gopal. Jaro Gopal was sitting with me and he told me about it and I said, I think you better go there. The minister cannot see it with the station management alone. Go there and find out what's going on. And at the same time, the station had already informed Jaro Gopal on what the minister's specific cases that is, he wants them to come and account to him about. Remember, he came there for campaigning, for election. But he wants the station to come and explain to him about the status of the case against a competitor for the election. So the station must brief him about it. Jaro Gopal obtained information with regard to the status of the case. So he went to a meeting. I guess the minister was surprised when Jaro Gopal landed there. That the minister suddenly, he meets Jaro Gopal, is not only station management alone. And then he inquires about this candidate. Unfortunately for the people that are of that political party that minister belongs to, they had a mistaken identity. They thought the case that was open was against a candidate, but it was against the candidate's brother. miss target again, like the PKTT and GCI. They missed the target there. And they realized that their complaint is unfounded. But beside that, there was a case. The feedback was given there, which was satisfactory with regard to the status of the case. Although it didn't concern them, but they were told, okay, the case is like this. But the question was, Minister, why would you want the station management to come and account to you about a specific case that involves a person who's competing with you in the political space? So which means if there was a case against this person, he was going to put pressure to the station management to make sure they arrest this person before the local elections that were going to take place. But what is strange, Commissioner, I'm going to invite South Africans to go to that court and if so, demand to see the charge sheet. I'm not a lawyer. Many South Africans are not lawyers, but they will read what is sitting in the charge sheet. And they will know that this, in any given day, it should not have landed in a criminal court of law. But it is there. Magistrate signs a warrant, or IDEC investigator signs a statement and gives it to the prosecutor in IDEC, who signs off that statement. It goes to the magistrate approves the warrant of arrest, and these people are arrested. And they go to court. In court, strange things happen, Commissioner. That's what makes me to then get to worry. That's why I'm talking about it here today. Because one of the strange things that happened that involves a magistrate who's presiding over a case that the members from crime intelligence are arrested on, he imposed a very bizarre bail condition towards those members. And the bail condition that is imposed by the magistrate in that case against these members from crime intelligence said explicitly that these members who are arrested for facilitating the appointment of Ms. Mkhwanazi from BMW to crime intelligence, apart from this incident happened in Pretoria in their offices, they are barred not to go into any premises of crime intelligence anywhere in the Republic of South Africa. Thank you so much, Commissioners. Commissioners, as we continue presenting the picture that we were seeing as we're investigating these interferences, one player in this puzzle is General Sibiya. So I want to invite the Commission to understand perhaps the background of General Sibiya, his arrival in the police, and his responsibility as a person appointed as a Deputy National Commissioner in the police. What I know of is that General Sibiya was appointed as a Lieutenant General, promoted to Lieutenant General in the police in July 2022. And I said earlier, the post of a Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, it's a heartbeat of the South African Police Service. That is where, according to the structure of the police, the organogram, that is where crime intelligence accounts, that is where investigations account, and that is where forensic accounts. So General Sibiya was afforded that opportunity in July 2022 to be appointed as a Deputy National Commissioner occupying this position. I know that there was this warning before he comes in. What becomes strange to me is that first he becomes a Major General at Detective Service. And a year later, he gets promoted. Now he's promoted to the heartbeat of the police, so he's no longer responsible for organized crime alone. He's now responsible for the entire investigation, including crime intelligence, including forensic. Well, the National Commission has got powers to appoint. It's just strange that the same organization dismissed this man. A year later, when he applies to court, the same organization doesn't appeal, doesn't file papers to oppose that court process. and the same organization brings him back and promotes him a year later. I don't know what he has done on his performance agreement that was so exceptional on this term when he comes back, despite this warning that justified this promotion. His arrival in the organization was a concern. That should have been a concern for everyone. But it looks like the organization somehow did not take that serious, hence they placed him in that position. Commissioner, you might be confused with too many boxes and everything in that slide, but it is what, as we are investigating, that we're beginning to see that, and I want to concentrate myself on this slide on General Cele, the National Commissioner, and General Sibiya. You will see at the bottom of General Sibiya the lines that are connected to him, that crime intelligence, detective service, and forensic service, they report directly to him. And we know that there is this connect of everything. General Cele leaves, but what is also part of the investigation that we're picking up is that when the contract of 360 million rand was awarded to Mr. Nhlanhla and the police, General Cele was the Minister of Police. I'm not saying that he had a role to play on that one, but I'm just saying it's something interesting to look at, because we see communication that the team will come and reflect on between the very same Mr. Nhlanhla and General Cele, the communication as we have listed there, which dates back to December last year, 2024, how they've been communicating. So it's not only about the arrest of Nhlanhla, there is communication prior to that, and further evidence that we picked up, exchange of monies and the likes. I guess General Kumar will elaborate more on that when they come in with the investigation team. I don't want to get into it, but it's just interesting to know that Nhlanhla and Cele have got a relationship and there's money exchanges between. And this is a man that was appointed in the police to be a health risk manager of the service. And the connection that we have put it here linked to General Sibiya in all directions, top, left, right, bottom, in all angles. And this becomes a worry because, as I said, this is a heartbeat of the organization. And when we are having the red flags on the left, which is the syndicate, 2 of them already in custody, we have others that we haven't mentioned. And we are having the ghost on the right, black and white, which include so-called experts out there that are spreading wrong information, so-called media journalists that are in there, many parties that you see there on the black, and going up top right corner, you see the entities of government, which will include IDEC, IGI, that are party to this chaos that we are seeing, and the engagement they're having with the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mkhunu now, Bran Mkhwanazi in the Chief of Staff. So this picture is what comes to the fore, and it gets us worried that, and we begin to question, how did this man come into this organization? Although we have to now display our tactical strategies in public, but commissioners, as we're investigating and this picture coming together, then we start realizing that we now have to move from being a service provider to society to becoming a force in order for us to prevent the Ecuadors and the Mexicos to happen in this country. Because the threat, the enemy that we saw that is infiltrating crime intelligence, is infiltrating parliament, and is controlling our executive authority and going into the heart of the police operations, which is investigation. To date, I'm speaking to you, the Nhlanhlas and the likes, if you go and see the record of cases withdrawn against Nhlanhla, more than 18 here in this province. And you really realize that you can no longer wear a tie and face this fight. So this is a fight that requires, for one, to apply the tactics that is learned over years. And one had to draw on experience ahead in the task force of saying, how do you deal with a terrorist? And because as I see it now, I think this is terrorism. This is people who want to take over government, not through the ballot paper, but through these criminal activities. We must protect those who go to the voting station, political parties exercise their rights, they vote, they appoint government. But if government is going to be taken in this fashion, it cannot happen under our name. So it's for that reason that we wanted to communicate a message to South Africa that we are ready, and communicate a message to this drug squad, politicians, the executive, police officers within law enforcement agencies, that we're ready for them. I said when I presented earlier, I knew that I've got a target on my back. So for me, maybe you'll forgive me in saying this as a Zulu man. So I wanted to make sure that they get a message that we are.
I don't sneak up on a person. I face them directly.
So Commissioner, we were pushed to the corner that for us to counter this, what is happening, let's draw attention of South Africa for them to realize the battle that we're about to face. And it is a battle, I must say, as I said, when you put that screen, that they are so-called experts, they are so-called forensic investigators, they are so-called journalists. There's a whole lot of people that are spreading news, feeding the narrative that has been perpetuated by these people internal. We have people in the organization that when a case is open, they take the docket and they keep it in their office and they don't investigate it. And we have evidence for that. The Deputy Provincial Commissioner Gauteng can be called into this commission. He will tell you the list of all these dockets that were opened. There is one of them, it's a kidnapped person which is allegedly Madlanga is involved. That docket was in Gauteng, but an instruction came from the head office, the Gen Sibiya's office, that we want that case docket. That docket is sitting in the head office. The mother of the kidnapped son, or the missing son, even contacted me because she can't find closure. And now we begin to see that who are people implicated, the Matlalas, and these investigations have been suppressed. We therefore cannot sit back, commissioners. We must take off our palaberam shoes and take off our blue uniform and wear boots and go and face the enemy directly.